there is a new market emerging, which is, we call it sports health market. I think the problem that we have in the sector is there are too many products. It's an extremely inspiring world with a lot of passionate people. Retail is not dead. There will be retailing around and physical retail as well. At least we have opportunities and room to grow. We are currently, on behalf of the entire sporting goods industry, negotiating a
In this Sports and Mentors episode, I chat with Tobias Grober, the Executive Director of Messe München's Consumer Goods Business Unit, which includes ISPO. Toby has spent more than 30 years in the world of sport with ISPO, the business that is best known as the organiser of trade fairs in Europe and China. We chat about the benefits of working in two other sectors besides sporting goods, the challenges and opportunities our industry faces right now, and the role ISPO plays today and in the future. I hope you enjoy the episode. If you do, please like and comment, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. So, Toby, I believe that it's now around 30 years, if you include your studies, that you've somehow been connected with the sports industry. But I'm interested to understand actually why the sports industry. What was kind of there before that kind of encouraged you to kind of go down that route first with your studies and then your professional career?
First of all, I started swimming when I was 6 years old, and my parents were always like very sporty. It was pretty annoying for my twin brother. I have an identical twin.
Okay.
Because we were a bit chubby, so we were and for us it was like, oh no, why do we have to do sports? And then they really were pushing us. So they put me into a swimming club. I was not allowed to play football because my mother was suffering under my father's football addiction. So he was in a football club playing every weekend. And so she thought, oh no, for my kids, I don't want to do that. The result was that my dad ended up every weekend in the swimming pool, and swimming pools, especially in winter, inside, hot, the air smells like chlorine, and it's not the best place to be. But that's how it all started. And then through sports and physical activity in general, I managed to get rid of my obesity, and ended up in the at school, like doing all the sports parts, and that's where I did my Abitur in, also English and sports, and then sports was always part of my life. It was good for it was individual sports, it was team sports also. I played basketball and things like that. So I hated running in the beginning. I love running now. So so it finally led to a career in sports, but which was not my original plan.
Okay, interesting.
No.
So now you've opened the door.
Yes.
So what was the original plan?
I love flying. So I was flying gliders when I was 15. My parents really liked this. We like what you're doing, but you have to pay for it yourself. So I had to work every, all the vacations that we have, holidays in between the school breaks. So I worked in order to finance my hobby, which is flying, because my dream was to become a pilot, 10 years in the German army, and afterwards move into the, fly for an airline as a pilot.
Yeah.
And then when I was 18, and we went to that recruitment center where they examine all the 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
And I was fit enough, but after 10 minutes, the behavior, the way they talked, and it was I thought, no, I refuse to do that. So I did civil service, and I had to come up with another idea for my own career.
Yeah.
And that was serendipity, because my first day in the new job, as being Malteser Hilfsdienst, is where we work with elder people and handicapped people.
Yeah.
And there was a leaflet on the desk, and it said, Economies of Sports, University of Bayreuth. And I thought, wow, fantastic. This is exactly what I was not looking for, but always wanted.
Yeah.
And then I applied there.
Okay.
That's how I ended up in sports finally, and not in the airline businesses.
Wow. Okay. That's because my next question was going to be about why then the economies of sports,
Yeah.
and actually it was just kind of somehow opportunistic that you saw that course, or was the financial side, the business side, something that interested you as well?
Yeah, because the curriculum is based on sports, and you have all the theoretical aspects of sports, like a sports teacher, but it's not you know, not going to be a sports teacher afterwards at school, but there is the all the law things that you learn about it, the economics about it. Language was mandatory, and of course studying abroad, so that it was all in the mix. And this is what still is fascinating me. And out of that university, I would say one of the best years in my life. I'm still connected with the university, and I'm the head of the advisory board to the university in Bayreuth, which makes it great because it's a great networking opportunity. And most of my fellow students, they are now in sports positions, but all over sports, not only sporting goods, but like one is organizing the FIFA World Cup, football sponsorships, club management, events all over the world.
Interesting. And so the university you went to, so it's like a couple of hours north of Munich, if I know well. And okay, now you live in Munich, but is Munich kind of home for you? Is that where you're from originally?
Yeah, no, I'm from near Lake Constance.
Okay, so further south.
Yeah, closer to the Swiss border than to Munich. So
okay.
But Munich is home now because we're living in Munich since 30 years now, 28. My wife and I, although we know each other since we were little babies, because we've been Christianized the same day in the same church.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
But we met in Munich.
Okay.
Which was kind of a moment of serendipity again, a coincidence. And we're still married, happily married with 2 kids, and my daughter is following my footsteps because she's also studying economy of sports at the university in Bayreuth, and she just started the semester in Barcelona at the Instituto Nacional de Educación Física, which is a sports university, what I did.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. You set the path.
Yeah, I never forced her. It was her decision because she had 3 different directions she wanted to go, but she decided upon economy of sports, and she's super happy. So I knew it was the right thing for her to do, but it's up to her to decide because it's her life. And but now she loves it. Yeah.
You mentioned that in your course you did an international placement. So where was that? Was in Europe, or?
I was in Barcelona.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
okay.
like my daughter is now.
A lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so if I understand well, during your studies, you then actually did an internship with ISPO, which obviously leads to today, but let's take a little bit of time to get there. So when you look back at that time, going from, let's say, the theory of studying into the reality of, let's say, quite a specific sector within the sports world, what were the surprises? What were the things that you really didn't expect, or that hadn't, was not something that you'd come across yet in your studies?
Actually, it was, and that's probably because of the setting we had at that time. It was a very small team. It was a few people. And that is credits to my former boss, Peter. He was kind of a hands-on guy who gave me responsibility from scratch. Even being an intern, he said, that's your project, you do it, you run it, and if you have any questions, ask me. And that was something that I was quite surprised with, because mainly it was like what you learn at university is theory, but then I think the most important, and in our business, I would say essential part is human relations and people's business. Yeah. So it really helps if you have kind of that same mindset, which is if you are from within the world of sports, or you love sports and addicted to sports, there is a common language, and it's so much easier to talk to those people, because by today I'm not only running ISPO globally, but also the jewelry and watch business that we're doing. Completely different mindset. And since 2020, I also do the one of probably Germany's most political trade show that we have, which is IAA, which used to be the former car show, is now transformed into a mobility show due to the changes in the transformation in the sector itself, and the difficulties that the trade show had in Frankfurt in the last years. So a completely different mindset.
Yeah.
So I can adopt to that because I think I'm pretty flexible and can adopt to people. I learned that over the last 25 years and 30 years, but the main language is sports, I would say, for me. Yeah.
Okay. We'll come back to those three different sectors, because I thought I wanted to dig a little bit deeper into that. But one question about because I think initially your first, let's say, official role was project management at ISPO. And then in 2005 or 2004, you took over as the business unit director for consumer goods. So obviously in those years before you took that role, you were obviously doing something right, I guess, because they wouldn't have given you the director role. So looking back, what do you think were, if I could, this is a little bit corporate, but what were your kind of key success factors in terms of being able to take that step and given that opportunity?
You can only live your life, how do you say that, forward and then understand it backwards.
Yeah.
Again, I think it was what my former boss at that time, Peter, told me. It's like, Toby, why are you just freaking out about things that you cannot change? It's like, what really matters is you're healthy, your family's healthy. Hey, be happy. And have that, I would say, that distance sometimes to business, a hygienic business, because it doesn't help if you're just getting annoyed and working on things that you cannot change sometimes, but work with the things you can change. And then that really helped me over the course. I think that was the main thing. So dare to do things, be courageous to a certain extent. I had the backing at that time. You could commit mistakes, so that psychological safety was there, and the trust. And if something went wrong, it was, of course, it was addressed, but always with the purpose to make it better afterwards. But I think that really helped, especially when I started my internship with ISPO, with the trade show organization. I was the first intern ISPO ever had. Sometimes it felt, I think I was the first intern Messe München at the old venue. Most of my fellow students, they went to Adidas and Nike and the big corporates, and they were like, yeah, but it's such a small company. The difference was I was immediately number 5 in the team. I had my own budget, I had my own responsibility. I could take decisions by myself, whereas the others were all like, okay, you're number 200,004 in the line of command, and you cannot decide anything, not even €5.
Yeah.
So I think that was the overall setting was nice. It's a small team with very special people, but a good mindset, and the freedom to move and the psychological safety at that time.
That's I think that's a very valuable skill for your boss at the time to give you that ability and give you that psychological safety. I think it's obviously we're here these last 2 days at the European Outdoor Summit, and it was something a speaker was discussing yesterday, and I think it's still rather more the exception than the rule, that type of environment, unfortunately, I would have to say. So I guess the obvious next question is, do maintain that now with your team? And also, because, okay, that's a somehow facetious question, because of course you're not going to say no, but I also wonder, because my perception of the roles that you and your team do, because obviously it's a lot of it is around events, and my perception of roles in events is it's, you know, obviously massive planning goes into a very, very high stress, high pressure moment in the run up and probably during the event. So what's the sort of behaviors and mindset you're looking for when you're bringing people into your team?
So to answer your first question, yeah, I hope I at least try to give psychological safety. There is, compared to when I started, and that was part of the first session today, is that the predictability of our futures is, with all the changes that we see, the complexity that we have to manage, and the ambiguous, yeah. So this is an extra layer of, I would say, stress on an organization. Yeah. So it's not like, okay, yeah, you can make mistakes and then it's done, but it's like constantly repeating and constantly reminding people that they can do, that they have their responsibility, and that they can commit mistakes, and that they feel safe in the environment that we try to create. At the same time, we need to remain flexible, because we, working in the trade show industry, especially with a brand like ISPO, we have an advantage, because we talk not only to the industry, the brands, we not only talk to retailers, but we talk to the entire value chain. Yeah. So from small to big, from global to local companies, from service providers to marketing, ESG, and so on. So if we do that properly, we have a better picture of what's coming next, which is sometimes also an issue, because we see things on the horizon like tech and AI changing dramatically the way we work. Equality and inclusion is still something where, and that was part of the sessions yesterday, diversity, is the industry is lacking behind like hell, and it's such a missed business opportunity. And then we try to include all those topics: supply chain, scope 3, sustainability in general, what does it mean, and try to help and educate the market, and try to help the market itself in its transformation. And sometimes there are frictions, because companies want to sell products and they want us to do everything that they can better sell, which is by today not necessarily the benefit of a trade show, because selling is done through digital tools or somewhere else, but we need to support our partners in their own transformational topics and help them manage complexity. So need to reflect. What was the other question?
No problem. It's bad actually asking two questions in one. I should know not to do that. The other question was with regards to considering the high pressure, high stress kind of environment. What are those kind of behaviors and mindsets you're looking for when you're looking to kind of bring people into your team?
So basically you have two type of personalities. You have the quiet ones, the ones that are great workers, and then you have the ones that are very extroverted, good on stage. So find the right mix. International mindset really helps. And this is not on purpose, but it happens in an industry like mine. It's 80% women.
Okay.
Because it's people's business. So you need to talk a lot. You interact with human beings, and I have to admit that women are definitely better in doing that. And all my leadership teams are project directors are all women for all different industries that I have.
That's I'd never considered it like that, but that makes a lot of sense, and it's somehow going against the let's say the average of the industry as a whole, which as we know is still rather male centric. Although I have to say that I think the delegates here, it's not 50-50, but I think it's, I don't know, maybe 60-40 men, women. It's better, but generally we're still quite a male dominant industry. So it's great to, have businesses like, ISPO and Messe München kind of trying to, let's say, put a better balance on that. Yeah. So that's great to see.
So you have on one side, you have like the personalities, two types of personalities. On the other side, really helps if they have a personal connection to sports.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of an energy source, and working closely with the sports and outdoor industry is kind of, it's rewarding in itself, because you have access to information, to people, background information, trends, innovation. You see how they work. You do sports together with them. You have the events around the year that we visit and organize ourselves. So this in itself is important, because if you identify with what you do, that's the biggest source of motivation. Yeah. It's the mother of motivation. So.
Absolutely. I think that's come through a lot in other discussions I've had on the podcast, that kind of passion for sports or for outdoor sports or whatever it is whether it's in founders, CEOs or whatever, it's maybe not 100%, but close to 100% the red thread through everybody that I speak to is that underlying kind of passion and joy to either be involved in or engaged with or participate in sports on some level.
Yeah, our internal team motto is ISPO is not a job, it's a way of life.
Yeah.
So it is extremely important if you have that energy source and that fuels you. So yeah.
So you mentioned a little while earlier that as well as ISPO and the sporting goods side, you also oversee the watch and jewellery market and also the mobility business. I'm interested, are there any, other than, let's say, the somehow obvious operational details of running events, but are there any learnings that you're able to take from other industries and pull into the other one?
Yeah, that's exactly why IAA was assigned to me, because with all the things we developed around the core ISPO product, which is the trade show and the digital services and startups and so on, that was part of the pitch for the show. So what we're doing is we are using ideas, or we are implementing projects that work in the sports industry and try to adopt it and implement it in the mobility industry and vice versa if they work. It's like a constant learning circle: build, measure, learn, build, measure, learn. So, and the same thing applies with, I would say, a delay of 6 to 7 years or 8 years in the jewelry and watch business. They're not still very traditional. They all have one thing in common, is that digitization is changing the value chain, is changing how the different stakeholders in the industry work together and how they sell their products and produce the products. They all have sustainability issues because they're all consumer driven, legislation. And of course, if you look at how let me put the car industry, but it's also the cycling industry, the car industry interacts with sports and sports activities, sponsorships and so on. So same with watches, they're all connected to a certain extent. It's part of a lifestyle that a certain person has, and it's that kind of sport with that watch, for example, and that car, and you can have endless combinations. So that there are already connections between the different industries, and I would say the formats that we test, build, and then develop and implement can be used in variations all over the platforms. Yeah.
Okay.
Like there was, for example, take ISPO Brand New was one of the first, and I think it's still one of the largest startup competitions for sports. It was invented in 1999, and I was very surprised that IAA never had a proper startup area, no competition award, whereas I think it's like we're changing the concept into mobility, which is the bigger market, includes all type of mobility solutions, tech, IT, one-wheelers, two-wheelers, pedestrians, public transport, cars, vertical, urban air mobility, everything. So it's a huge, huge, huge topic. Why? And there's so much innovation coming from startups. Why don't we do something like this? So we applied that to that show. On the other side, there's a big conferencing area with like high-level speakers and content and topics and the curation behind it, using that now for ISPO. And so we're working with that.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. I think a few years ago, maybe 5 or so years ago, you'll correct me. You launched ISPO in China, in Shanghai. So I'm interested to understand, what were the kind of learnings that you've taken from that, and do you see that as a growing opportunity for the ISPO business?
I have to correct you. We kicked off ISPO in China in 2004.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's amazing how that market developed.
Yeah.
They leapfrogged some of our technologies and ideas how to create and sell a product, especially. So now we have 2 shows in China, 2 ISPO branded shows and 2 consumer events. So 4 shows, and we are currently buying into a 5th show in China. So this market works extremely well for us. And I would highly recommend everybody in the Western world to look into how the Chinese market works, because this is definitely coming to us. We are lagging behind in terms of technology and how they sell in the different sales models, B2B to C, C2C to B. It's like there's so many different models that will come to Europe as well. Are not here yet, but the future already exists in China. Yeah. And now what we see is that the Chinese brands, and that was mainly triggered by the credit crunch, when Lehman Brothers, when there was the Lehman Brothers crisis, when the Chinese suppliers started to, in order to, like their production lines were empty, nobody ordered products, so they kicked off their own brands because they knew everything about the product and how to produce it. And now they learned pretty quickly in terms of design and marketing and communication. And here we are. Yeah, I see a similar situation like in the car industry coming up. Okay. Where we have extremely well-designed, high-quality products with an own identity coming to the Western markets. So, yeah. Interesting. I didn't realize. So it's been 20 years then. Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you must have seen a massive evolution. I mean, but as you said, I mean, it's clear that they're further ahead. I mean, having worked for AMA Sports for a while, and particularly for the first year or so when the Antisport-led consortium took over, I mean, we really had to have a kind of mind shift in terms of kind of process and speed, and have more of a failing fast rather than a kind of heavy analysis and go, more of a try and learn and fail fast. So that's interesting. Fail often. And you feel that, as you well identified, there are now so many certainly China manufactured electric cars that are now penetrating the European and American markets. But because it's interesting, because there's obviously been a few strong sporting goods brands in China for a while now, but none of them have yet been able to really successfully penetrate the market. So, but you see that as something you think is a trend that's going to evolve, and there's going to be more investment put into that from those people, those brands? I think so, yeah, because they have high financial power. They have the products ready, and they can still grow in their own market. Because for me, when I look at the Chinese market, it's still in the very beginning. So from the consumption point of view, because there are still parts of China that are not where like the big cities are.
Yeah.
So if you look at, because you said you work with Amos Sports, and then you have like Arc'teryx, how they developed and how China became their main market. And it's kind of the Chinese status brand, and it's driven by the consumption in China. So yeah, and when we started, it was so funny. First show that we had, and we had EOG there with a booth, and the last day the EOG team at that time already left the show because they had to fly back home, and then we had a fake Rolex dealer sitting in the EOG booth, and I took a picture. I don't know if I still have it somewhere, and send it over to the EOG team. Is that how you do business there? But it's like that was the very beginning. So there was no understanding of what a brand is. Why should I pay $400 for a North Face jacket? I can get it for $4 on the fake market. But now it's the other way around. Like if you go there, the only people you see on the fake market are the white Westerners, and the Chinese. They want to have the original, and they want to spend the money for the best thing, best quality.
Interesting. And what about? I hadn't planned to go down this road, but I think the other markets is quite interesting. I saw you recently had some presence at the Saudi, exactly. Yeah. Is that another market that you see as an opportunity for ISPO, and you see the kind of sports market developing there? Of course, there's massive investment now in spectator sports in a lot of these markets.
Yeah, as for ISPO, the road we are following is that we cater the entire sports market, not only the sporting goods market exclusively, because the sporting goods market is only a part of the bigger sports market. And we see, and this is also something that is that was relevant for the conference, we see that there is a new market emerging, which is, we call it sports health market, driven by, I would say, a growing awareness of how important physical and mental health is in society. So it's a market that is connecting sports, fitness, wellness, well-being, self-optimization, nutrition, longevity, rejuvenation through physical activity. And this is also something that within governments, especially like in China, it's on the political agenda, physical activity. And in Saudi as well, because they face huge problems. And I would say in political systems like China and Saudi, you can do that on a government level. Unfortunately, our governments fail in take better care of the health of the population. So for us, it's many people see us as a trade show organizer, and they think that our business model is selling square meters, but we are like what we say, we are in the business of connecting people and creating valuable connections. And the technology that we had for many, many years was the square meter that we still use, but you have other formats throughout the year. We're not bound to Munich. We can do it digitally. And with markets like Saudi and India, for example, we're testing the Indian market at the moment. We are using the ISPO Academy as a format. This is how we developed ISPO Shanghai. It's a conference format where we highlight the big transformational topics that we see that will influence the region we're talking about, or where we're visiting. And out of our network, we bring in speakers and try help to develop the market there, the sports market. And that's what we did. So there's a potential there, but it's now our scope is bigger than only sporting goods, because if there is not enough physical activity around the globe, then there will be less and less people to buy products.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've touched on the fact that professionally you're leading 3 different business units for Messe München. You mentioned that you're the chair of the advisory board at your previous university. You also are a director for the World Sporting Goods Federation.
Member of the board.
Member of the board. It's clear that because of all of these responsibilities, you're traveling a lot.
Yeah.
You've already highlighted as well that you're a father and a husband, and I guess two questions, and maybe the second one it doesn't matter, but let's see. First of all, are you able to find a good balance between all of those topics? And if the answer is yes, how do you do that? Because I mean, juggling all of those balls and keeping those plates spinning is not easy.
No, it isn't. It's a permanent challenge, I would say. But my kids sometimes blame me and my wife for being extremely disciplined. So that means I go running 3-4 times a week, but in the morning, 6 o'clock. So it's worth standing up, or 5:30, just to do that physical exercise. And then my training sessions with my son in the afternoon. I really think about which travel do I have to do this journey or not? Can we do it digital, or I send someone from my team, because it's I cannot be the only one traveling, and it's kind of a reward for them. And then of course it's a relief for me sometimes. Of course, like everybody wants to go to, like, oh, let's go to China, and they were very, very excited. But after 5 years in China, say, oh, do I really have to go to China again? It's so far away. Yes. So that's part of the business, but it's very, and I think that's also part of what we as trade show people have in our DNA, is that we are constantly trying to find new people, new things, get to meet people, and this is where the magic happens. It doesn't happen in your comfort zone, so it's outside your comfort zone, and we have the opportunity to meet places, cities, cultures, people, individuals, companies that hardly anyone has. So that's extremely rewarding, I would say. It's a permanent adventure.
It's funny because I noticed that on your LinkedIn profile, the headline is Industry Connector, which I think is kind of defines what you just highlighted there.
Yeah, and this is by the way, this is one of the most interesting parts that we're now implementing in our platforms, is that, and that's an advantage of working with Messe München, is because we own the trade shows that we do. We're not simply renting out the venue, but we own the trade shows. So we have the access to the innovation that comes from the different industries. So take, for example, we are organizing the world's leading trade show for environmental technology, recycling. So there are so many technical solutions there that nobody in the sports and outdoor industry know about yet, but everybody's looking at. So it's searching for. So we are now with the colleagues in the company. We do robotics trade shows, sensors, artificial intelligence, everything. So we're picking the topics and the innovation and the trends and the people who can support and bring them to our customers in order to help them innovate faster and better. Otherwise, you would have to search the world for the new sensor that fits for my purpose in my wearable, in my application use case. So it's extremely interesting.
So, I mean, opportunity to kind of personally develop and continue learning must be amazing, very motivating.
Yeah, so sports is it's running. That's why I love running. It's easy. You can do it everywhere. And within half an hour, and even if it's 25 minutes, half an hour, you're getting rid of a lot of stress and everything. But what also helps is, since 4 years, I'm a passionate follower of Wim Hof.
Okay.
So I tested that in a very difficult part of my career when I had like some issues with my former leadership at that time. Okay. So that was when we kicked off the first IAA. It was very hard, like 12, 13, 14 hours. I should not say that on the podcast because it's illegal, but it was really intense. And it was all in COVID conditions. So the teams were not able to meet, and we were all remote and sitting back home with a house full of kids and a guest student from Colombia who spent 6 months in lockdown with us. It was very intense, and then I started doing the breathing exercises and cold showers, and it's amazing.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay. Yeah, that was the next level.
Yeah. No, but I think, thank you for sharing that, because I think those difficult situations, those extreme situations, which often do come somehow through leadership one way or another. I think having those examples of tools or processes or whatever it is to get through those times is really helpful for people. And so is that something that you're doing regularly as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Since 4 years, I have not taken a single warm shower.
Okay.
Always cold.
Yeah.
From the very beginning.
Yeah.
And now my son started also. He was laughing at me in the beginning. Now he's like, after 3 months, he's like, you need to take cold showers. And my wife hates it.
And so what do you feel as the benefit? I'm really interested. Now, this is really a personal thing.
It's proven that putting your body under stress for a short term is also kind of, it's setting off like hormones, and it helps you to improve your self-awareness, health for the body. So like your immune system is getting stronger, and it's extremely good because you need to apply the breathing technology, and the breathing is breathing itself, and there are many books about it now. Is a very important tool to control your psychological stress levels and to deal with stress and mental health. Very easy. It's a natural tool. We lost connection to it somehow, but it's easy to get back to it. And it's there. You can do it every time, every day. If the Navy SEALs do that before they go to combat, and so it cannot be that bad. Did it this morning, for example, yesterday, and all the days.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Super interesting. So I think having the opportunity to sit down with you today, it would be somehow remiss of me not to ask you about how you see ISPO as, let's call it the Munich trade fair, and the same thing with outdoor. So there's been obviously a lot of discussion around the shows, and of course since COVID the whole environment has changed dramatically. So how do you see those two shows evolving over time? What's your kind of vision for them?
Yeah, as you probably noticed, we are moving the two shows away from each other. So outdoor is no longer called Outdoor by ISPO. It's outdoor because it's serving a certain purpose, which is more product driven than ISPO will be in the future. So the old ISPO as a transactional platform where it's a sales kickoff for products and product innovation, that's gone. That's different formats, digital, direct-to-consumer business. That is not the purpose of the show. Yet both platforms have in common that it's connecting markets and industries and communities. Outdoor is a more focused, more concentrated one on the outdoor industry. And with ISPO, we're going down into, like, as I said before, the entire sports market, because they are approaching us. They're in need for a platform where they can connect the different parts of the sports industry. And the same thing happens with the sports health market. So we're combining those markets, but we're not neglecting or our roots in terms of no more products. Products will play an important role as well as retailers. But if you look at the situation, let's take, for example, retailers. Their problem today is not the availability of product. I think the problem that we have in the sector is there are too many products. So they are facing huge, big transformational challenges, and we spoke about that. One of them is AI, technology. How is technology changing the market, the complexity behind it? Was the right technology for me? How do I apply it in my company? Same applies to supply chain and regulations and Scope 3 and sustainability and Green Deal and reporting standards, inclusion. So we will highlight the big topics, bring in companies that can support the sports and sports health industry for ISPO to manage complexity and transform better and faster and more successful. be more inclusive with the partners we take in, because it's a much bigger market than the sporting goods market or the winter sports market, which is, I would say, in threat itself, just taking into account the climate change and sustainability issues that they are facing and have hardly any answers. Yep. And with outdoor, it's more on that. There's still a strong focus on the brand retail relation, but as we presented yesterday, it's not only the brands and the retailers, but it's also the different disciplines that you see in the companies along the value chain. It's the HR departments, it's the marketing communications guys, it's the ESG people who are already attending, it's the design department, the logistics and supply chain managers, because they all have topics that they need to solve together. You cannot solve the problems and issues by yourself. And what we will do is that we will take some of the big bucket topics that we create for and are building up with ISPO, and of course apply them to outdoor as well, because being a retailer, you need to know everything about tech. How if you are, we had conversations with retailers, they say, my ESG team, they just said, okay, sorry boss, I have no idea, no clue how to cope with what's coming. I need support, I need help. So fostering those connections and enable them and create new relationships and new partnerships that help them to transform. This is one of the key purposes of the platform. And if someone wants to sell a product, fine with it, but it cannot be the only purpose of a platform like this. Yeah.
Well, I as somebody who's been lucky enough to attend ISPO and outdoor for a long time, 20 years I think, I'm excited and optimistic to see how things develop, because I think as an industry, whether it's the outdoor industry or the broader sporting goods and health industry, I think we need these opportunities to get together, to collaborate, to learn, to continue taking the industry forward. I feel like if everybody's away doing their own thing and we're even more fragmented than we are today, we don't necessarily leverage our strength as an industry and push us forward on topics that are really complex, that oftentimes even some of the bigger businesses can't deal on their own, let alone some of the, let's say, startups. Yep. So I'm excited for the future to see how things develop.
Yeah, and the industry should never forget, and that was also part of what the CEO of Cambridge University, was it? Yeah, said yesterday. You need to come together, cooperate, collaborate, because the outdoor industry and the sports industry, of course, there's competition within the sector, but the main competition is outside of the sector, because there are bigger industries that are extremely well organized in terms of getting into the pockets of the consumer. And you're fighting for the same euro. And there's one bad or good example, and that's the reason why I'm so happy about the direction that the World Federation is going, because I'm a member of the board, but also part of the physical activity committee. And we are currently, on behalf of the entire sporting goods industry, negotiating an official relationship with the World Health Organization. This is also something that a missed opportunity, lobby for good, that our industry so far never did, because they thought, lobby is bad. But if you look behind the curtain, and then you realize, and that's really dramatic, you realize that there are only 2 lobby industry associations working with the World Health Organization to formulate the recommendations they give to all national governments on health, is the food and beverage industry and pharmaceutical industry, which ends up in a result that in the last recommendation, the last that they sent out this year, the word physical activity or sport shows up once in a negative way, because it's dangerous. And this is what happens. So there are so many missed opportunities within the industry that we need to tackle, and sometimes it hurts. to hear that or say that, but the passion we have for sports is like we turn our hobbies into our profession. And sometimes we are quite passionate about something, but quite unprofessional. And at the same time, missed opportunity because we love our products so much. So the focus is on product details and lightweight and more performance. But again, it's like the big opportunity is in how do we approach the 81% of teenagers around the globe that are not moving enough. Yeah. And this part is growing, 81%. Yeah. It's a nightmare with all the effects. And since we started applying that, let me take the fight inactivity, because that's one of my favorite topics. I'm so engaged with it because I said myself was a chubby kid, so I know what that means. You need a new way of communicating. The target group is completely different. The tools that we're using, the products that we sell, they're not fit for them. The channels we're communicating, the narrative we're using. We cannot talk about Mount Everest and the world record in the marathon. It doesn't work. Right. So you need new partnerships, use probably technology, create some very low obstacle entry points for those target groups, identify them, offer them services, probably together with someone else. And even for a retailer, it could enlarge their target group by being like the kind of the health consultant in the rural area, not position himself as I sell you the best gear, but I support you in your personal health issues and connect you with physical therapists, work together with doctors. We talk about nutrition, we talk about fitness and low impact sports. And by the way, here is the yoga mat and here is the So there's a big opportunity that we miss, but we can tackle it.
Absolutely.
And therefore, and from the outside, and this is something that I think we can learn for the automotive industries, they are using their trade show platform to create a storytelling moment. What I learned from the automotive industry is that's extremely helpful for what we want to do with outdoor, and that was also going into that freestyle area thing, is when they talk about innovation, they have two products on the booth. It's the vision car and the concept car. One is the vision or the concept for the next 5 years, and the next is the vision for the next 25 years. So there are 2 points in the near and in the future that gives you kind of a perspective. What is the way forward for them in types of technology, design? So that gives orientation. We, with the brands that we see, they have a tendency to show all the products, and we have the tent in that. Basically, those are conversations I had. We have the tent in red, and we have it in blue. So let's put the same tent, just in different color, in two times on the booth. We need more space. But it's so expensive. So instead of focusing on and hyper-focused on what is coming next, what are the stories we want to tell, what do we want to stand for as a brand, what is our direction, what's our purpose, and these are the key pieces that reflect on that. The tendency is now we show all the products because we're so proud of the products, and here's the full collection. Enjoy. Yeah. And there is that, if you do not have that meeting point once a year, you will never get the media awareness outside of your own industry bubble. So the newspapers, TV stations, they need a moment where they can go critical mass so that they really report about it. Yeah.
So, looking back over your career, who would you say have been the people that have the most influenced you positively?
Positively?
Yeah.
So that was definitely Peter, my former boss. My first boss when I started working with ISPO, definitely, yeah.
And he was the leader you were saying that was telling you to relax.
Yeah, relax.
And,
yeah.
Okay.
keep a distance to to daily business, to a healthy one, a healthy relationship. And on the other side, I have to say, all with the bad experience that I had in terms of leadership, it helped me to develop strategies. And by today, I would have to say, even like the Wim Hof moment, the breathing, meditation, cold showers, and reflecting a little bit more on my own health in terms of not only physical health, exercising, but also mental health. That was mainly triggered by bad leadership. So that I also experienced, and
And that's been a positive outcome.
Yeah.
Well, I think, as we said before we started, I think the reality is we all tend to learn more from the bad experiences because it forces us to change. And if we don't change, usually that's when things can get serious. So, okay. So, considering your 25 years experience in the industry, in the sporting goods industry, what would you say are the best but also the worst things about working in this industry?
This is an amazing question. I think it's what I already mentioned is this mix between passion and professionalism. So it's an industry that you want to work with because you have an immediate access. You identify with sports, the products, the people. You have the same mindset. It's an extremely inspiring world with a lot of passionate people, and at the same time, it's sometimes so frustrating because they're more passionate than business-driven, and by the end of the day, all talking business. So sometimes I would rather have a little bit more business in the conversations that we have. On the other side, it makes it easy to work with the industry. So it's a completely different atmosphere and mood if you enter a room that is filled up like here with people from the outdoor sports industry, than walking into a room with the automotive industry or walking into a room with the jewelry and watch industry. It's three completely different atmospheres, moods, and the easiest one is the sports and outdoor industry, definitely.
But maybe that traditional mindset is somehow holding us back in terms of being able to, see maybe bigger opportunities. And as you highlighted, the opportunity in terms of the lack of activity with the population. And obviously you talked about kids, but the reality is it's definitely not just kids. I'm the same. I mean, I love the industry, but sometimes you just kind of want to, shake it a little bit, and because there's so much opportunity, and where Andrew Denton, who obviously well, the CEO of the UK Outdoor Industry Association, in this podcast, he's one of his quotes that I took out was, we're so much more than just selling shit, to use his exact words, and that's what we need to remember and understand, and it's seeing the bigger picture.
And at least we have opportunities and room to grow. It needs those storytelling moments. Sometimes it needs, I would say, stupid people like me trying to sell the idea that sports should be part of COP, the climate conference. So we went there, and it was mind-blowing because, like it or not, this is where things happen, and sports is not on the agenda. And we have so many solutions for so many problems out there in the world. We can be a catalyst for change, but we never talk about physical and mental health. We never talk about equality, inclusion, the social benefits of sports in integration. And if the outdoors is your playing ground, you have a higher interest in protecting it. So instead, our storytelling is more lightweight, more durable, water column, and this is the price. Wrong stories. Because The effects of sports are far, far bigger than just providing an equipment for an activity, but it's a societal opportunity that we can tackle. We need to change the narrative, and it starts. You always need to start with something. So people were laughing at me when I went to COP. What are you doing there? It doesn't bring anything. Same with when we put lobbying on the agenda. We call it Lobby for Good, and we bring in people who have experience in lobbying, and there's that distance. Oh, there are no sports people, so should we talk to them? And then you, of course, end up with big names some of those people work with, because the big companies, they apparently do very, very, very good lobby work. So learn from them and start kicking it off. And so slowly but steadily, I feel that all the national associations now are putting their efforts more into talking to politicians and bring them to an event like ISPO, because this is where they can meet the industry and talk to many stakeholders, and understand their responsibility in also doing lobbying for what we do, and what the benefits of the sports industry. And so there is a huge opportunity. The industry will grow, but we will also see a lot of companies, or many companies that by today seem to be very successful, go out of business, which is not bad or good, but it's just part of the life cycle. Same happening with retail. Retail is not dead. There will be retailing around, and physical retail as well. The concepts will look different, the numbers will look different, the experience will be different, but there will always be retailing around. But so I think the future is bright, as soon as you look into what the big opportunities are and how you can tackle the challenges, and that's our job to highlight, okay, there is a big market, this is a big market, this is a transformation driver that we see, this is the support that we can give you in order to manage your complexity and help you transform your business better and faster. Bring in the partners that you need, and creating valuable connections. And it used to be in the past between the retailer and the brand for selling a product, but there are so many more stakeholders and so many more big markets out there, so it's no longer only this, but it's on top, it's the entire sports and sports health market. Hope it makes sense.
It does. Absolutely. So what 3 pieces of advice would you give to future leaders of our industry to enable them to have a successful career within sporting goods?
Be courageous, stay open-minded, and talk to the over next generation.
Now, that was very quick. You've obviously been asked that before, because I didn't pre-warn you, so that was very, very natural. Okay.
I loved what Achim said yesterday on the stage when he had to summarize. Scott was very mean in asking us to now summarize it in 2 questions for future leaders. I really liked his answer, because for the generation that is supposed to either run the businesses we're seeing now or being the next type of consumer, they need to challenge us. Otherwise we lose them. And I see that as a threat to some of the companies. They are selling to a dying target group because they're not adopting to communication requirements, using the old channels, old narrative, visuals, wrong product. So the target group is now 60, then it's probably 70, then they are not physically active anymore, and then you do not sell any product. So constantly keep curious, be curious, courageous, and let yourself challenge by the next and the over next generation, by your own kids.
Absolutely. Great. So last question. If today was your last day working, let's say, if you were retiring today, what would be your message to your team?
Keep the passion. Look out for professionalism, and go out. This is where the magic happens. Leave your comfort zone.
Perfect.
Stay courageous.
Great. What a brilliant way to end. So Thank you very much, Toby, for taking the time to meet with me today and for sharing some great insights. I think there's a lot of super interesting topics and insights that you shared. So thank you for being so open and taking the time.
I hope so, Dan. Thank you for having me. And if there's no outcome for you or for the listeners, then at least it was a very, very a great chat. So that we had great conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed my chat with Toby as much as I did. If you did, please like, subscribe and leave a comment. Thanks for your support, and I look forward to seeing you soon for our next episode.